positions. Be ready.
Hey there, Postal here. I was gonna take out the ME410 today. Kind of show you what it can do versus things like an XP54. You know, the thing that's currently completely skewing Tier 6 and Tier 7 battles. But not only am I on a terrible Tier 6 map with only 3 sectors, there's no XP54s. Which I find kind of funny considering the last couple of games I played. I had XP54s on my team and just didn't allow me to like do anything special in my FW190A-5, which is a great plane. But I thought, you know what? Maybe I can get in a plane that can go against the XP54s and show how to use that and how to mitigate an XP54, because it certainly can be done. They're not invincible by any means. But that's for another video, I guess. What is it? Well, this is the ME410. Like, everybody and their brother should know this plane, but just in case you don't, it is, and it certainly was, before the XP54, on the NA server seen as one of, if not the best Tier 6 heavy fighter. Why is that? Well, mainly it came down to its firepower. It has great firepower, as you can see. It's making mincemeat out of everything in front of it. And, yeah, it's just, it's not everything, of course. It still has to fly, right? It's very unmaneuverable, but it's got great airspeed. It doesn't have the best altitude performance, but it's got good altitude performance. And there's just a noticeable jump from what this plane can do compared to the Tier 5 contemporaries. Speaking of Tier 5 contemporaries, let's see if I can take out this dude. I can. Turn back around. Nope, turning too much. He doesn't even want to go head on. I don't blame him. These guns are pretty ridiculous. So let's go ahead and use them.
Control of the skies. Way to go.
Yeah, this game's gonna be pretty boring, I think. Got a P40. We've got an A6M3. Didn't even realize that. DS here is in the same clan as me, unfortunately, and killed him there. And they've got some other players doing some things, but they're gonna have to do a lot of different things to turn this around. I don't really want to necessarily defend a sector, but that's literally where everybody's at, so what are you gonna do? I guess I'm gonna kill some people. Well, destroy their pixels. Easy squeezy. Now the thing with this plane is you definitely want to make sure that you are taking the time to focus on the planes that are not trying to outturn you. You want to go against the planes that are you're going to be able to use your speed against. You don't want to get in front of freaking multi-rolls like those people just did here. Wrong button there. Always doing that, hitting the R instead of the T. Seriously, this guy's still shooting at me? Oh, never mind, that was 6,000 feet away. That was the heavy fighter. That's okay, we don't care about no Yak 7. If this was a Yak 9, probably wouldn't do this, but the Yak 7's not the scariest thing when you're in an ME410. Yak 9, just the amount of hit points I'm on could certainly cause issues, but yeah. Anyway, you want to focus on, you're not trying to outturn anybody, right? And if you are, you're doing it wrong. In an ME410 anyway. I think even a Mosquito can outturn you, so you definitely don't want to be, doing that. See if I can knock out this bomber. No, an air defense aircraft got him. Well, that's a shame. But there's another bomber. How convenient. Our pilot back in here. Our engine might have been knocked out, but we don't need that. All we need is the the accuracy. These 20mm cannons to hit, and 30mm cannons to do the job. Yeah, it was fun stuff. Let's head back. So, again, not anything crazy over the top. I was able to take advantage of the P-38F because he didn't see me coming. Which, if this video teaches you anything, it's pay attention to the map at all times. When I start a battle, I see who's on the enemy team typically, unless I'm distracted or talking to the chat. Try to see who's on the enemy team. Basically take an assessment of what I need to be aware of and who I'm going to have to be going up against. So I knew right away that the P-38F was on the enemy team. Spitfire 5 I'm not really worried about. I know as long as I'm maintaining speed, I can get away from a Spitfire 5. And obviously an IL-2T, don't care about at all. He's not going to do anything to me. So I wasn't really paying attention to what was on my team. I'm paying attention to what I need to take care of. And since I knew that, I would know that I'm looking at the map at all times and I'm seeing, is there a heavy fighter inbound? And if so, my first assumption is that it's that human heavy fighter. In fact, the first heavy fighter I went up against was actually the BF-110E, but wasn't really thinking that until I started, until I recognized that it was a German heavy plane and not an American heavy plane. But that's my mentality. And I think that helps me out a lot in knowing what I'm engaging and what tactics to use or in that particular engagement. If I know that a P-38F is trying to get me, what am I going to do in that situation? Which is typically going to try to outspeed it, or try to hit it before it can hit me. The ME-410 guns are incredible, absolutely incredible, and it's really the strength of this particular plane. Your ability to just completely melt down enemies comes from these two 30mm cannons, two 20mm cannons, and then you've got some 30 caliber machine guns. So the combination of all three of these types of, they're right here. The combination of all of these particular guns kind of lets you do a little bit of everything. Obviously, your 30mm cannons are the ones that are going to be doing the majority of the damage, quote-unquote, but that's really only in the shorter range. Your 20mm cannons are the ones that fire out a little bit further. So they're going to be doing damage to start off with, then when you get a little closer, the 30mm cannons are going to be really hurting. And then you've always got these 30 cal machine guns to just do whatever damage needs to be done at super short range. You've got two rockets, but honestly, I'm always tempted to just kind of drop the rockets and get a little bit more speed out of this plane. So I don't use them all that often. In fact, probably just going to remove them right now just to maybe test it out. My speed goes up by 2. Might be worth it. Why not? I've been keeping them on just in case I need to rocketeer somebody that's coming towards me. So yeah. So I don't know. I honestly don't know if I'm going to keep them on or take them off. I'm going to leave them on for right now just because I do like the flexibility of being able to do some sort of damage to the ground as needed. But yeah, we'll make that decision at a later time. I've specialized this plane. It's tier 6. It's not overly difficult to get its specialization, right? But I understand that more often than not, you're not going to have specialization to start off with. But I am going to tell you that the most important thing to get on this plane is the 30mm cannons. 30mm cannons are so important. You start off with 2 bombs. You've already got the 20s and the 30 cal machine guns. But as soon as you get the opportunity, get up to these 30mm cannons, do what needs to be done to get them, because they're really what's going to be doing the lion's share of the damage. These are the guns that are going to be taking the big chunks out of the planes that you don't want to focus too much time on, like bombers and ground attackers. You'll just kill them very quickly with your 30mm cannons. If you don't have the 30mm cannons, it's just going to take you a long time. Funny part is the 2 bombs I used quite a lot more than I used the rockets, just because they're easier to use. You drop them and you forget them. You don't have to do like a missile run where you're taking yourself out of combat. So that's kind of funny. But that being said, you still want these cannons more than the bombs easily. When you're not specialized, your equipment slot's kind of lacking, right? Although you do certainly want to get specialization on the plane. It's not a necessity, so to speak. The plane is still really strong even when it's not specialized. For engine, I would not have it as armor protection here. I'd actually go ahead and put some sort of engine boosting component here. Probably the boost system, maybe uprated engine, but I typically go with boost system on my heavy fighters to start off with. There's no point in doing anything that's going to impact the maneuverability positively, just because you're not focused on your maneuverability, and using any energy to help your maneuverability is really literally taking away from the strengths of this plane. Forward firing weapons is really going to be your whatever you feel best with. Personally, like it's the great thing about the German setup on a lot of their planes is you can do what you feel best in. And so if that means putting gas-operated action on there like I've done, then so be it. This helps your rate of fire. You're just putting out more damage. Yeah, your accuracy is worse, but if you're putting out more damage, maybe you're gonna throwing enough crap at the fan, something's gonna stick, right? Or the wall, or whatever this phrase is. But conceivably, you could put long gun barrels on here. Again, because you've got 3 different types of guns, your forward-firing weapon option, something's going to help it. Reinforced ball carriers is probably the least helpful of the 3 options here. And I wouldn't recommend that one, but I could see people using it. I would use either long gun barrels to get you some more range, or gas-operated action just to throw out more volume. Again, now that I've specialized it, I've completely filled in my engine slots here, and gone for more speed. Kind of helps counter the rockets here that slow you down a little bit. Great thing is, you're able to put a cockpit item on here. I've gone for the improved cockpit sight. There's no point, in my opinion, on the cockpit armor. Yeah, the cruise resistance to injuries, okay, but that's why you've got a consumable. In my opinion, I'd rather have much better accuracy and deal with if my pilot gets knocked out. That's my fault for putting myself in a situation to get my pilot knocked out, and I have this consumable to get me out of that situation. As far as the engine consumables are concerned, when you're stock, you might just want engine cooling, but I would highly recommend having engine cooling as your consumable. Yeah, the engines get knocked out from time to time, but not so much to where getting a engine restart is imperative. In this plane, you really want to have your speed, and so engine cooling is going to be the thing to go with. Once you specialize it, this is one of those situations where I put improved mixture control, but again, I've mentioned this before, but just in case it's the first time you're hearing it, I'm setting my plane up for my playstyle here. I could totally see somebody putting a manual engine restart on here. It's certainly more popular and probably the better way to go for general pilot. I'm going all in when it comes to speed here, which yes means I'm setting myself up for issues if I get my engine knocked out. But my playstyle and my mentality leans me towards not getting my engine knocked out in the first place. If your playstyle's that way, then the engine cooling and the improved fuel might be the way to go. But if you don't feel comfortable in that setup, then there's definitely go with the manual engine restart. There's certainly no harm in that process. I've gone ahead and put pneumatic control assist on here just because I really don't know what to put for the airframe. The plane doesn't catch on fire all that often, so putting the bleed system on here doesn't end up being very helpful. The emergency control system is certainly something that could be utilized. I've gone with pneumatic control assist. I'm not really sure which one's more impactful for me. I wouldn't have used either of them in this battle. The pneumatic control assist only really comes in handy when I'm trying to get myself out of, try to get those last shots on a plane that's about to start out-turning me. I can knock in the pneumatic control assist and, turn just that little bit longer that's needed to kill a plane. I definitely do not use it to dogfight. That would be moronic. Don't do that. No offense to the people that are just called morons. You don't want to go in circle fights with an ME-410, even with pneumatic control assist. But I've got it there just to get my guns on target for 2 more seconds, because getting the guns on target with the ME-410 typically means death to the enemy. Emergency control system is completely viable and probably what I should go with, just to get my tails and wing back into, back into service. But I'm so much more focused on speed in that kind of situation that, like, if I'm trying to run away from somebody and my tail gets knocked out, like, is that really hurting me? So is putting my tail back in going to help me? I don't know. And so either one, in my opinion, is viable. I would certainly think that the control system would probably be the way I should go here, but I've just been using the Pneumatic Control Assist for so long that I've just kind of stuck with it. But honestly, the emergency control system is probably the way to go. But anyway, so that's my setup. Yes, my plane's specialized, but you'll notice all my equipment is just improved. And yet this plane is still really strong. Part of that probably has to do with the pilot and the gunner. Let's take a quick look at these guys. I've got my pilot set up with Marksman 2, which is just always good for anything that relies on its good cannons hitting targets. Marksman 2 not only just helps with reducing the dispersion of the forward-firing weapons, but it actually helps the accuracy of firing and actively maneuvering targets. So when planes are going head-on versus you, the Marksman 2 kind of kicks in at that point. When a plane's trying to outturn you, Marksman 2 is kicking in at that point. So, like, if you've ever had a pilot with Marksman 2 on it, and you hit something that you really didn't feel like should have been a hit, hell, it even seemed like maybe the plane was almost off your screen, that's Marksman 2 adding that extra accuracy, and like random bullet or cannon fire is actually hitting that plane. So Marksman 2 can be very, very helpful when it comes to your ability to just get your cannons to hit, especially big old 30mm cannons that don't fire every second, or every eighth of a second, or whatever it might be for the machine guns. I've gone ahead with the Aerodynamics Expert. Now, after the Aerodynamics Expert rework, I'm not sure this is necessarily the most viable option here. However, considering I have 2 equipment slots that are used for airspeed, the Aerodynamics Expert is having a positive effect. The Aerodynamics Expert, just in case you don't know, any equipment that helps airspeed or maneuverability, the effect of that is increased by 40%. So Aerodynamics Expert is having a positive effect on my plane, just not an overly crazy positive effect. The more I boost these up, the more Aerodynamics Expert would be impacting. Early on, and before I specialized it, it probably would be better to have like Engine Guru on here, just because obviously you're not going to have your equipment boosted up, or even have 2 items here. Aerodynamics Expert is not a good option if you've only got literally one thing that's helping your speed or maneuverability as far as your equipment is concerned. Aerodynamics Expert is really only going to be a viable option if you've got 2 equipment slots or more that are helping your speed and maneuverability. Other than that, it's kind of a wasted option, and you should go with either Engine Guru if you're looking for speed, or Aerobatics Expert if you're looking for maneuverability. Or if you've got a setup where you're built on you're building it on defense, like your ground attackers or bombers, you'd actually want to go with the Protection Experts, because that's going to help your durability and resistance equipment. So I really probably should upgrade these items to advanced. Hell, why don't we do it now? Considering I'm running into tier 6, specialized crazy shenanigans, helping your equipment is always going to be a good thing. So here, let's help the guns. We've increased the chance of critical hits. We've helped the cooldown rate. We've increased the chances of fire. All good things, right? Let's actually take a look here at my airspeed. I'm at 58. So increasing this equipment will not only be helping just in general the airspeed, it'll actually be impacting the Aerodynamics Expert as well. And so, well, that's fine, whatever. So the overall impact should be pretty nice, I'd like to think. But it doesn't really seem to be. Doesn't seem to have increased at all. Maximum speed with boost activated. Alright, cool. Yeah, overall I went up by 1 whole thing. Wow. Yeah, Yeah, I'm wondering. Again, this is the reason why I keep questioning, are the rockets even worth it? Because I'd be up to probably 61 now, right? Yep. My altitude performance would even be improved because my rate of climb would be improved, I assume. Yep. I'm going to have it without the frickin' rockets on, and we're going to see what that does at a later time. What do you guys think? I'd really love to hear your opinion on having the rockets on this plane. Is it something that you use enough to be viable? I always hate going into a battle, especially when you go like against the command center and you kill all the airplanes at the command center, and you still need, with the command center, the way it's set up is you still need to do some sort of ground damage, right? 4 rockets is all you would need to do just a little bit of ground damage to, you know, actually flip that sector. And so I'd hate to be stuck in that situation. But I also don't use them. Then again, I'm not struggling by having them on there and, you know, being slightly slower. It's not like I'm having struggles in the ME410. So, good gracious. So let's keep the rockets, because I'm still doing really well with the rockets on, and I'd rather have the rockets available as needed. I'd rather have them and not need them than not have them and need them. Does that make sense? That's my mentality right now. I could be wrong. I want to hear you guys' opinion. I really need your opinion on this one. As good as I am in the ME410, as much as I love this plane, and I was really hoping at some point today to go, I guess, an XP54, but they all noticed that I loaded in and decided they didn't want to see me. I'd love to hear your opinion on the rockets on this plane. And my overall setup. Is my all for speed setup just too ridiculous? What's your guys' setup on your ME410s? I know this is a popular plane both on NA and EU, and I'd love to hear your opinion of it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I know the gameplay wasn't all that crazy, but, you know, sometimes it is what it is. I will catch you guys next time, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.